Hey, good morning. It's Patricia Murphy. It's Friday. This is Seattle Now. It's almost the weekend. Seattle has a new NHL team, and you can time travel back to the 2020 Olympics, which are happening now. Marcus Trufant and Terry Hollimon are here to break it all down. But first, let's get you caught up. Washington Attorney General Bob Ferguson rejected the state's proposed part of a $26 billion settlement with 4 opioid distributors. Ferguson called the deal deficient. Under the proposal, companies who distributed the drugs would pay Washington more than $500 million over 18 years. Instead, Ferguson says he plans to take his lawsuits against McKesson, Cardinal Health, AmerisourceBergen, and Johnson & Johnson to trial. Looks like accountability is a dish best served in court. Sad ending to the search for Lieutenant Brian Yang, a runner who went missing Sunday near Mount St. Helens. Yang was stationed at Joint Base Lewis McChord and was training for an ultramarathon. His body was found off a steep ridge near the Coldwater Trailhead Wednesday. And it's going to be a beautiful weekend. Highs in the 70s, sunny all the way to Monday. But if you're headed out to the water, check your beach. Both Juanita Beach in Kirkland and Matthews Beach in Seattle are closed because of high bacteria levels, and they're just 2 of 10. Maybe it's a good time to dust off those hiking boots instead. This week, the clouds returned and the wildfires burned, but the smoke blew far away towards New York. Jeff Bezos launched to space and returned safe and sound and thanked every Amazon customer for funding his trip and the company that built his rocket. That's $5.5 billion in case you're curious. Marcus Trufant is here today. He's the co-host of the Barbershop podcast and former Seattle Seahawk. Marcus, how much of that $5.5 billion do you think you personally contributed to Jeff's space travel dreams through your Amazon purchases?
Oh, my goodness. With a wife and 5 kids, and with the pandemic and everything, we have lived on Amazon, all types of goodies. And I guess I can put myself in that as well, just ordering everything. So probably half of that. I would say half of that.
Oh, my gosh. You just sent Jeff Bezos to space, Marcus Trufant. Terry Hollimon's here, too. He's also the co-host of the Barbershop podcast. Terry, the last time we talked, you were not down for the space travel. Did Bezos making it back change your mind?
Absolutely not. And I think it probably made it worse. I mean, the whole concept and idea of going into space, that great black void of nothingness that is out there, nothing except cold air and death. And I'm cool here with my feet on terra firma. I do not want to go into space or deep water. I'm good. So yeah, if you're a billionaire, fine, go into space if that's your kick. I'm staying right here on firm ground.
I'm with you on the deep water, Terry. I do not enjoy deep underwater activities. Well, big week for Seattle sports. Our new NHL team, the Kraken, drafted their first full roster of players on Wednesday. I'm not going to pretend to know much about this from a sports perspective. I'm just happy to root for something at this point. How are you two thinking about the Kraken?
I'm excited. I don't know much about hockey either. I know we're going to hear about Terry's stories of ice and his great hockey stories. I give him a hard time all the time because he got a story for everything. This man has done so much. But I personally don't know much about hockey. But just like you said, I'm excited to root for another team. And I think they're going to get a lot of people going to this game. It's going to be crazy. I'm excited. I can't wait to get to the game. I know that Bobby Wagner was a part of the draft, right? And so they're building this energy and this good stuff around the team. I'm excited. It should be good.
Yeah. The coach was saying he wanted guys who knew what it meant to be great teammates who pushed each other on and off the ice. And, of course, pushing is a very big part of hockey.
I think that's like the main part of hockey. That's why we all tune in to watch hockey, right? It's like controlled violence that is really actually not that controlled. It's a bunch of big, giant men riding around on knives on the bottom of their feet with sticks in their hands and attacking each other. I mean, what could be more primal than hockey, right? And, Marcus, you said Bobby Wagner was involved in the draft. I saw that, but I also saw that Macklemore was involved in the draft. And, when you bring Macklemore out of the woodworks, Mr. Thrift Shop himself, it gets real. And Marcus, you alluded to the fact that I have, a lot of history when it comes to a lot of different things. Because I am,
I roll.
I'm well-traveled.
I roll, Terry.
I'm well-traveled. I've been around the world. I've played hockey. I've done it all. So, no, I'm just kidding. But I don't know much about this Kraken team and who they drafted. I know they drafted a lot of defensemen and a lot of goalies. And it's probably going to be a lot of other trades take place in the offseason.
You guys skate? I ice skate from back east. I do love
nice.
ice skating. Yeah, no
True skate. True, you skated once before, at least I know.
I skate a little bit. I used to skate in elementary school. They actually used to take us to do this different thing they call Friday activities. We would go swimming one week, we would do jewelry making one week, and then we would go skating and ice skating one week.
Marcus, you skated with a professional hockey player.
I did, and I forgot the T-Birds, right? Or the Thunderbirds.
Yes, the Thunderbirds. You skated with Alex True.
So, I don't like to brag or put it out there, but I do a little bit, T. I do a little bit.
Well, the thing about this is all these guys are probably transplants, right? And this is the city of love ya, never gonna call ya. I wonder how hard it is going to be to break in to this as a sports town. Are we nice to our sports folks here?
I think so. Our fans are crazy, and they really love our players, and we bring them in, especially being a hometown guy. Growing up, I wasn't the biggest Hawks fan, but you love the players, and you knew the players, and you embrace them with open arms. So I think these guys are going to be okay. I think they're going to be very well taken care of.
And people still love the Mariners.
Absolutely.
There you have it. They still love the Mariners. People still go to the games, and they haven't won a game since the earth cooled. So I think you look at the city of Seattle and its sports teams, and we really do embrace these teams. I mean, I remember when the Sounders were just getting started, I was like, there's no way a soccer team is going to take off in Seattle. And lo and behold, they might have the craziest fan base in the city. They go crazy for the Sounders, and they've been completely successful. You look at the Sounders, the Storm are successful. Seahawks have been successful. We won't talk about Sonics right now. But I think that's why the Kraken...
Scratch that out.
That's why the Kraken are going to be so successful, because we're going to be, we're going to show the world that they have done a disservice by not giving us an NBA team, that we're going to support our NHL team so much.
And this is what I'm hearing is really the long game to get that team back, to get the NBA back.
Yeah, I think they were hoping that was going to be a package deal. They were going to build the big arena, do the key arena back up, and create this new atmosphere that was going to be lively and updated. And when we get the hockey teams a few years down the road, the basketball team is going to follow. So hopefully that'll happen for us here in Seattle. We'll cross our fingers.
You know what's funny about this is I heard this kind of through the grapevine about this NBA team plan to bring them back through this NHL effort. But I was watching the news, and one of the sports guy was in like Climate Pledge Arena, and he's like, and the Kraken will play here, and basically transition to, and more importantly, basketball.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, whoa. But yeah, man, I think there's a long game here that we're not talking about so much. And honestly, my enthusiasm is the only thing I can bring to this, because I am not into sports. I am into cheering people on, mostly women, but I am down. Just pour me in the right direction.
Well, I'll tell you this much. And again, going back to the story you just told, is I think it shows a little bit of bias that we have here in the United States. And Marcus, roll your eyes, radio eye roll for me real quick, is because I lived in Canada. As a kid, I lived a lot of years up in Canada, and I know how important hockey is to the Canadians, to our neighbors up north. And it is really probably just as important as football is to us down here as baseball or basketball. And it really consumes their entire lives. When hockey games come on, they shut down everything and gather around the TV and watch it. And so, to say that it wasn't that big of a deal, which is just a small thing to get the NBA back, that's a little bit of our bias here in the United States.
Yeah. Summer Olympics start tonight in Tokyo, but of course the pandemic has changed everything. I heard a report this week from a reporter who said driving through the city, it's even hard to tell it's an Olympic year, which just sounds like a huge drag because the fanfare is such a big part of the games. Marcus, tell me about how important fans are for performance when it comes to athletics.
Yeah, fans are huge, especially our 12s here are crazy, and they give us energy, they give us boost. They even help us win games in the past. I know we've had those games to where the offense of the opposing team, it can't even hear themselves think. So I can only imagine at the Olympics, just the energy and everything that comes with that, with the stakes being so high and everything's on the line, it could make it really tough. And as an athlete, I know track and field in most situations is a sport that you have to go internal. It's like an individual sport, but you still feed off that energy of the crowd. And that's why you do it.
Yeah. Yeah, Terry, I love the games. And of course, the older I get, the more I really appreciate the athleticism of younger people and the extreme sport beauty of what's going on during the Olympics.
Oh, yeah, I'm in the same boat. And it was I think it's been a long time that I've really just sat back and admired every single sport for what it is, because to be an elite athlete at that level, whatever the sport might be, it takes an immense amount of skill, an immense amount of dedication, an immense amount of training. And sometimes we sit back as fans, as casual fans, and looking at some of these things that people do, like, oh, man, they're just out there, they're playing badminton or it's polo or whatever. And you don't realize how much effort, like, until you go out there and try to do it and realize you cannot even do it. Or you watch some of these gymnasts doing these things, like, oh, she's just flipping. Okay, try to do a what flip. Go do. I mean, so it's just amazing to watch these people and years of work and effort and having them have the ability to go out on a international stage and perform.
And then in some cases, tragically, to have that all ripped away because you test positive for COVID, because there have been 80 cases of COVID, including a Storm player over there in Tokyo. Yeah, and to just have your shot taken at the last minute just must be devastating.
Yeah, it's got to be devastating. Again, I know a couple of people who compete in the Olympics. I know someone right now that is competing in women's softball, and I know how hard she's trained. I know how much she's sacrificed. I know how much she's, like, her family, these people's families' lives and daily routines are upset for years, not weeks or months, but for years, for this one opportunity. And then at the last minute to have something like COVID pop up is just, I can't even imagine.
Yeah. And of course, there's one thing, though, that's kind of making me irrationally angry through this whole thing. Since the games were postponed from last year, everything still says Tokyo 2020 on it. And it's giving me these terrible flashbacks of 2020. Can we please just stick a 1 on that thing? I mean, just slash it out. Put a 1.
I don't want anything to do with 2020 either. So I definitely feel your pain.
I'm trying to figure out who's in charge of the budget. Like, they couldn't actually just go in and just get a piece of white tape and just put a 1 over the 0. Like, it's 2021 now.
I think they cut the budget with all the fans not being there. That's a lot of income they're missing too. I would assume. I don't know exactly how it works, but yeah.
Let's get them a stimulus check. Let's get them an Olympic stimulus check so they can put the 1 on the 0. Come on.
Yeah, take that block out of that comforter and just put that 1 in there, man. That Tokyo 2020 comforter is making me angry.
That's funny.
Angry. I can't handle it. All right, we're leaving it there. Thanks to our guests, Marcus Trufant and Terry Hollimon, co-hosts of the Barbershop podcast. Great to have you back. Thanks.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Anytime.
That's all for today. If you enjoyed the show, tell a friend about us. Very easy to share an episode. You can do it right from your phone. Clare McGrane produced today's show. Our production team is Jason Pagano, Caroline Chamberlain Gomez, and Diana Opong. Matt Jorgensen does our theme music. I'm Patricia Murphy. We'll see you next week.
Yep, anytime. In the meanwhile, I'm going to the beach.
All right. Boy,
right by the beach.
All right, y'all.
All right, now.